Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Tony Sirianni podcast. I am thrilled to have my friend Ron Kruszewski, the CEO of Stifel. He typically needs no introduction, but Ron, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Okay, great to be with you, Tony.
And this is a volatile time. Now, I've said this before that if I had your hair, I'd be president of the United States today. But I will say again, if you were president of the United States, we have a lot of stuff going on going on. What do you make of what's happening? It's been a real volatile week. I know you're getting calls from advisors and clients, and I know you're talking to them all day. So, what's your take on what's happening?
Well, before we get to that, let's just talk a little bit. I know a lot of advisors watch your podcast, Tony, and I just gave a talk last Friday, and what I want to reiterate to your audience is what I said to our advisors here at Stifel, and that is that we have to remember that even in volatile times like this, even with equity values down, fee-based account values are down, everyone is angst. It is times like this that we have jobs. It's because of times like this that we add value and that we need to be talking to clients. The worst thing that can happen is for a client to capitulate to fear, as we know, because all volatile markets, the good things about when you have a bear market is they're usually followed by new highs in the market at some point. We all know that, all right? And the worst thing that happens is that you try to time the market. And we know it is not timing the market, it's time in the market. And all of those things is what makes the advice business as valuable as it is. So I would just reiterate to everyone is to make sure that clients understand why these markets are volatile. I mean, heck, the VIX hit 65 yesterday, and that's incredible at some point. And and this is why Stifel and all the firms like us have clients and we do business is because we provide good advice.
Yeah, in hard times, and look, you've seen a bunch of these markets, as have I. This one, there's a weird political element to it, as well. But there's, almost feels like some people are cheering it on, or other people don't really understand what could happen since Liberation Day. When you look at the tariffs, which is something kind of new for us, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'll back up though for a second because in many ways, the correction in the market, if you will, was not surprising to us at Stifel. And I'll go back to the beginning of the year when every firm published their forecast for the S&P 500 for this year. Stifel had the lowest forecast on the street. It was 5,500. I think the median was like 6,600, and we had the lowest, which was 5,500. And the reason for that was not because I'm trying to be pessimistic. I'm not at all. It was that when we looked forward, we saw the ingredients that could cause equity values to suffer. Very high PEs. The market was trading at 22 to 23 times earnings. Trump was talking about disruptive policies, primarily tariffs, and we saw those policies probably handcuffing the Fed so that the Fed wouldn't be able to carry through on what people thought were going to be, 3 to 5 cuts. We put it all together and said, we don't think this is going to happen. We think it's going to be a lot more turbulent, and therefore the market could correct through the PE ratio. That's exactly kind of what's happened. It's just, it happened faster than we thought. All right.
Right.
Now go to your question on Liberation Day. Yeah, I was surprised at the level and the breadth of tariffs, but I'm not surprised because, President Trump's style, just to maybe just be blunt about it, is that he punches you in the nose. And then he comes with a Band-Aid and a and a Kleenex and tells you, hey, how can we fix this? All right. And so it's maximum effect, which were these tariffs, and then negotiation. We can all disagree as to whether that's effective. It certainly compresses the time frame for markets, and that's what you're seeing now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like you said, the long-term history of this thing is that we haven't had a correction in a long time, right? And we always end up, in a better spot than we were before. So that's good. And some of the things, you've always been a proponent of the latest technology. And it's always something when you usually come, visit with us at our big event in October, it's always one of the things you talk about. And that's, been progressing. And then that's driven markets, and it's the big seven, all these different things. What are you seeing? And I guess particularly with AI, which clearly has an impact on advisor businesses on a day-to-day, but the future is what looks interesting there as well.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, and what I try to envision is what impact will AI have on our business, all businesses, not just financial services, healthcare, all services, everything that can be enhanced through technology AI is going to impact. So it's hard for me to even imagine 5 years forward as to what it's going to be like. But what my experience tells me, or at least what I believe, is that AI, at least in our business, I'll speak to the advice business, is a tool. It's going to be a tool. It is not, we are not going to replace our advisors with Siri or Alexa. We're just not going to do it. Primarily because I do not believe, and I've said this, that AI will replace or surpass human intelligence.
You just said it in a market like this, right? I mean, this is when we're earning our pay. And imagine if it only had a computer to talk to at this point. You wouldn't be too happy.
Well, and the answer, well, not only wouldn't I be too happy, most people wouldn't be happy because human intelligence, AI still is a neural network, and it's a bunch of them, and it's all these chips and whatever, but it's still primarily, bit on, bit off, on off mathematical computations, and it's very good at doing a lot of things fast. But the human element is 100 dimensions, or maybe more. Fear, greed, your experiences, your emotions, your ability to relate, EQ, IQ, all of those things. And in times like this, the best advisors are using those skills to properly advise their clients when they understand their clients might be fearful. They might have had an experience that our advisors know about. They may have their own viewpoints of the world. All of that leads to the human element. So what do I think is going to happen? AI is going to make it easier for us to assimilate information for our clients. But at the end of the day, the value added and where the market share is going to be gained are by the advisors that can use their human intelligence, their EQ, to supplement these tools, not get replaced by them.
So that's kind of like where the future, the day-to-day of advisors might go. I'm thinking about the recruiting landscape. You think about M&A in a market like this, what's going to happen, but that sort of dovetails into recruiting.
Let me just finish though, because I didn't answer what I see in the short run.
Sure.
Right? All right. I do want to say that. And I'll tell you the buzzword for me are AI agents. Okay. And what AI agents are is instead of the way we look at it now, which is, oh, go write me a poem or summarize the Library of Congress, which many of these large language models really can do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible what they can do. But in our business, I don't know how much impact that really has. Okay, we don't need to take the world internet and try to synthesize it into anything. And I'm not quite sure it's that. It certainly can be accurate, but it's not giving me
Well,
anything.
it can only look backwards, right?
That's right.
It can only look backwards at what's already gone on. So it's really a summation of old news, kind of what, it's not innovative like that.
Right. The real key will be being able to use AI agents to supplement our human processes. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Many advisors are frustrated with firms or their firms, and there's a reason for that, and it's getting marketing materials approved. I'll just give you a simple one. Okay, I have this brochure that I want to do this seminar on Thursday. and send it to compliance, and it takes, 2 weeks and 4 coffees and a bagel to get, to get it approved. And it just takes time, and it's because humans are doing it. However, what is really going on is you've got a rule book, FINRA and SEC marketing rule book, and you got a brochure. And you put them together in a simple language model, and you let it learn and give the output to a human, an experienced human that can then approve it. That process can go from a week to a minute. A
Yeah.
minute. And that AI agent works at nights, and it works at midnight, and it does. And so the point is, and you can take that in all of our processes, whether it's in marketing, onboarding, opening an advisory account where you already have an existing thing, and there are so much that AI technology can do to make our advisors more productive that I'm almost overwhelmed by it.
Well, you just outlined a business you and I could start, because I like that idea quite a bit. Get that thing rolling.
Well, I've started the business myself inside of Stifel. I have a group that I have taken outside of the bureaucracy, because anytime you try to do anything and run it through the bureaucracy is there to serve the bureaucracy. It's going to slow things down. I've got groups that are looking at, can we speed up our marketing approval process? And I'm just having it come straight to me, so that I don't have to have layers of bureaucracy stop what we think are very productive tools. And these tools, if you take these tools and apply them to a day-to-day advisor's life on note taking and on summarizing and on reporting and getting all of this done, it's amazing. One caveat, that I don't know if your viewers know, but I'll be chairman of SIPMA next year, and I am going to be advocating to make sure that our communication rules, that we get modernized on, what's a communication, what are we allowed to say?
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, the problem is that they're always a little bit behind, like with texting, right? The texting was something that everybody was doing. AI is something everybody's using. So let's have the rules so we understand how we're going to do it, rather than get a bunch of fines back where they, all of a sudden you hit with $18 million worth of texting fines for something you did all the time. You probably can't talk about that, but I think it's aggravating.
I'm sitting here saying, just keep talking, Tony.
Just keep going. All right.
You can talk. I'm not saying anything.
I hear you. Okay, but
Don't text me though.
I won't. I won't. So basically, when we look at we had started with the question of recruiting and what's going on there, and how impactful this market may be on the M&A market, which is another driver of what's sort of going on in advisor movement, and just sort of interested in your thoughts of where that might leave us this year, with the rest of the year.
Well, I've always feel that tumultuous times puts dampers on recruiting, as it should. Now is the time to be gaining new clients. Now is the time to be talking to your existing clients. Now these are tumultuous times, and you need to be focusing on your clients. And we tell people that we're recruiting, we tell them that, and say, look, recruiting is a marathon. It's not a sprint. People that come to Stifel, I expect them to retire at Stifel.
Right.
So if they're, if these markets cause our process to delay a month or so, well, that's probably a good thing, because advisors should be focusing on their clients today.
One of the big drivers, it's interesting. I was looking, I'm sure you know this, but maybe you don't. I was been looking at Stifel stock, because one of the big drivers of movement today is equity. People are getting equity in these firms, these smaller firms, and it's a lot of it's pie in the sky. And very often with the advisors, I find it's like the cobbler's kids have no shoes, right? I mean, the advisors don't ask the same questions of a CEO of a smaller company they would for their own clients. You know what I mean? And then I saw that Stifel stock, since you've been CEO, is up like 6,000, 6,000, so like 10 times the what the S&P is up since then, in the last 20 something years. And that's got to be valuable to advisors, I would think.
Well, for sure. I mean, I say Stifel's a growth stock. I'm actually writing my annual report. I point out what you just said in round numbers. S&P since beginning of 97's up. Actually, I don't know today. I mean, this market's bouncing around so much, but
Six
back,
hundred some percent is what it
you
would
know,
be.
kind of when I listen, like everyone else, I'll pick a time that I like. And
Of
so
course.
when we hit our high this year, which was pretty nice, and believe me, we're down from our high as everyone is. I think the S&P was up 8, we were up 70 times, and Microsoft was up like 60 times. And these are just round numbers, don't. But you get the gist, and that is that Stifel's done very well. We're a growth stock, and 100% of the people at Stifel, we're a public company, own stock in Stifel. We make sure all of our new associates get a grant of stock, and we are, our entire mission is serving our clients, and our clients include our advisors, and when it all works, then everyone works, you get more clients, you do more business, and then guess what? Your stock price goes up, copy, paste, repeat. It's not that hard.
It's funny because we had a conversation a couple years ago, which I haven't forgotten, that was about, all this independent, the movement independence and all the stuff that was going on there. And basically you were saying, yeah, I've been doing this for 20, where have you guys been? We've been letting you own your own book, advisors own their books, all the things that independence was trying to fight for. You're like, well, we've already been here. And now it's the same with the equity. I didn't know that all the employees had stock. I thought not. I just didn't think all of them did. That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. I have to be a little more careful on owning the books based on
Of
some people
course, I know. I
are
know.
taking that literally. But the point is that obviously on the relationship, there's
Yeah.
no question that the relationships, by definition, we can't manage millions of accounts. We have advisors that manage based upon their relationships. But the fact is that for 28 years that I have been here, we have provided a culture and an environment that supports the entrepreneurial nature of advisors, and that's not changing going forward either.
Yeah, it's well, it's a good stock. It's a good stock to own and a good company to be part of because it feels like whenever I visit there, you do feel everybody's pulling on the oars going the same direction, which is nice.
I think that's one of the secret sauces of the firm. It's an overused word, but our culture is amazing. I mean, our tagline that what people see when they get on the elevator every day is "Yes, we can." I mean, think about it. Everyone gets complained because no matter what question you ask, the answer is no by reflex. And here we said no. You need to try to get to yes. I mean, that's yes, we can as our culture, and that really shows through.
And and maybe I don't know if it's jinxy to bring up the JD Power Awards, but a couple years in a row you've gotten that, and I think that speaks to it as well.
Yeah, we're pleased. It's always hard to stay number one when people decide they want to try to knock you off, but we feel that we've improved every year. That's been a nice honor, so thanks for bringing that up.
Well, my pleasure. It's all good. Well, I guess what I'd like to do, I mean, believe it or not, we've been like 20 minutes, right?
Wow.
I'd like to think about just some final thoughts, what you might want to leave, advisors with. Well, look, we're gonna publish this quickly, given the state of the volatility and things that are going on in markets. And I just think your experience being there would be helpful for them.
Well, maybe I should have also, maybe we can do this more in the front of this, and that is, besides what I said, Trump's negotiating style, what is going on is that for near over 80 years, the United States, since Bretton Woods, the United States has supported and encouraged free trade, and the United States has provided security for democracies around the world. And in that, the United States also subsidized other countries primarily through tariffs by allowing the United States economy, which was so strong, allowing somewhat unfair tariff practices by other countries. But what's come out of that is the strongest economy in the world. The United States has the reserve currency of the world. We are the undisputed leader of the West, and we have tremendous allies. And what's happening was that globalization in many ways gutted the industrial base of the United States, and people are pushing back. And I think it's healthy that we do this. I don't think it's healthy that you put 70% tariffs on the board, 2 days implementation date, with the idea that you're going to bring jobs back, because frankly, tariffs are effective today and factories won't be built for years. So there's a little mismatch here, but it's all a negotiation. And what you have here today is the ability to buy some very good companies on sale. And I would encourage advisors to be waiting in this. I'm not picking a bottom. I don't want to pick tops or bottoms, but I'm pretty confident this is a good time to be buying quality companies.
Fantastic. Ron, great advice. It's always good to talk to you, and appreciate you being on, and look forward to seeing you at our event live in October. Also, you're going to do an open house. I don't know if you know the data, but it's April 22nd this year. So people who want to see Ron again should come to the open house. It's a Choose Stifel / open house, and you can.
You know what? I would encourage people to do that. It is a great way to understand a lot of what I'm talking about. You hear from the people who are actually doing it, and it is a great glimpse into our firm. So thanks for plugging that for us.
Well, I've been to one. It was great.
All right. Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you and to everyone. I'm pretty sure the world's not coming to an end. So we'll get through this, and there'll be new highs. But let's give good advice. That's what we do.
Thanks, Ron.
All right.